Well, it is always such a pleasure to talk to you about your roles, but this is so amazing because you embodied her. It was all about the body language, how she carries herself, how she keeps her emotion in. Was that the main challenge for you, for her?
Definitely. I mean, I'm a great fan of Patricia Highsmith. You know, obviously she's more than a crime writer, but she writes. She creates very mysterious, ambiguous characters, and the challenge for me, which I found quite difficult on screen, was to make Carol three-dimensional, and obviously Phyllis Nage's script did that, but keep her mystique and ambiguity and the remoteness, so make her relatable and allow people inside her, but still to keep that allure and mystery about her, which was quite tricky.
Did you feel her fashion informed that as well? The way she carried her dresses, the way she took off her gloves?
Well, Sandy Powell did the costumes. You know, we've worked together several times, and it's always a really creative collaboration with her, and the costume fittings are often where the character, you know, comes to life. But the interesting thing about the two women is that it's not just the social mores of the 1950s that keep them apart. It's also the difference in class, you know, their difference in experience, their age difference. There's so many barriers, and what Sandy beautifully created with the look of the costumes is this impeccable sort of almost sort of vision of a woman, almost a dream of a woman that the character of Therese sees in Carol, and then you see beautifully realised through Rooney's performance, you know, that her maturing into almost being able to step inside Carol's world.
Yeah, it's true that glamour made Carol look, you know, privileged and just in a different league.
Yeah, but then it was great. The road trip, I think, what happened is that the look of Carol sort of freed up as they sort of meshed, as one does when one falls in love. You lose those boundaries, that sense of your domain and your lover's domain, and that so Carol's style was more informed by Therese's style, that there was a liberation, I think, that happened visually as well as psychologically.
Yeah, absolutely. You've been to Cannes so many times for very different types of films. I mean, even last year was an animation movie.
Yes, I know. That's the wonderful thing about Cannes, is, you know, last year I was here with DreamWorks, How to Train Your Dragon, and this year I'm back with, this beautiful vision that Todd Haynes has created. You know, very different films, and films obviously from all around the world of different sizes and scales and ambitions.
The award buzz has already started, so, you know, how do you usually feel about these things, and does it matter when the role matters to you?
I was very nervous. I was wondering whether it's just because I had a lot of coffee, but like yesterday before the screening, and before the press conference, I was really nervous, and I think I don't know that I've ever been here with a film in competition, and there's a slightly different texture around it. You know, I've been here with very different films, but everyone involved in Carol, it was a real labour of love, and the script had been around for 15 years, and so I'm really proud to have been, you know, my partner Andrew Upton and I, to have been part of the producerial team that got it together. You know, it feels very important and special to everyone who's involved in making it. But, you know, every filmmaker here probably feels exactly the same way about their film.
No, absolutely. Tell us about Rooney Mara, and she had, like, you know, that quiet confidence about the character and that evolution that was quite interesting to watch. So how was it working with her, and what do you think of her as an actress?
I think there's very few actresses who can play the protagonist in The Girl from Dragon Tattoo and then play this almost sort of cultish, Audrey Hepburn-esque, demure, exposed, raw character that Therese is. I mean, she's got such impeccable taste. She's incredibly intelligent, very pragmatic and workmanlike in the way she approaches a role, but she's fearless and has this extraordinary range. You know, I loved working with her, and I was really, really excited when Todd said that she was going to play the role, because obviously, you know, we've got a connection to and a sort of obsession but with David Fincher, both of us, but it's we'd never actually, you know, met or worked together.
So what's not to be obsessed about when it comes to David Fincher?
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
And Todd, he's really amazing. You'd worked with him before, so, you know, he knows how to create those characters that are so memorable on screen.
He's got an outsider's perspective, but he's got such an incredible heart. And when he called and said that he'd read the script and he would really love to do it, I of course assumed, He's, you know, he's made Far From Heaven. He understands the period. It'll be a Douglas Sirk-esque sort of Jewel-like experience. But when he started showing me all the references of all these female photographers who were working in the 1950s, whose work was never realised in their lifetime, Vivian Mayo, for instance, whose work I didn't know, and that wonderful documentary was made about her last year that was nominated for an Academy Award. His references, his visual references, were so unexpected. All that sense of New York in the 50s in reflection, you know, that sense of a woman only being seen in the reflection of the men that she was connected to. The kind of the meta vision for the film was really exciting, and that's the extraordinary thing about Todd, is he's able to bring an outsider's perspective into the mainstream of light of cinema. So he has such he's sort of got a foot in both camps, and working with him, you feel like at once you're working on a big scale, a big vision picture, but he's still got that art school indie filmmaker mentality, so that you feel like you're creating something new and fresh. It's really exciting to work with him. The thing about Todd is that he's made a film about love and yearning and how dangerous love is. And the wonderful thing about Patricia Highsmith is that she writes about murder, she writes about crime, and this is about a love story that's a criminal act. And I think that's the power of the film. It's not whether I'm straight or gay. Who cares? Who cares?
Absolutely. They describe it as a lesbian love story. For me, it is a love story.
It's a love story,
romance.
Of course. And you know, I think it's got a much broader reach than being a niche experience. But I think what makes it dangerous, perhaps, and unusual still in this day and age is its love between two women.